There is an art to nailing an interview, and it starts long before you sit down in front of an actual employer. Right now, we are in a tough job market. The recession might just be getting started, who knows? And the Fed keeps raising interest rates almost as much as Jim Carrey raises his eyebrows. Folks seem to also be getting laid off in droves, which means that the competition for the scarce open positions available is getting higher and higher. But never fear, because the Rubber Duck Recruiter is here, and in this video I'm going to share with you probably the most important lessons that I've learned from interviewing thousands of candidates over my 6 years as a technical recruiter. Interviewing is absolutely a skill. And like any skill, it can be mastered if you apply a framework to it that you can practice and get better at. And the good news for you is that most people don't know this. Most people just get on an interview and they just kind of wing it. And the recruiters can tell, generally speaking, when you're winging it. So knowing this stuff is going to give you an edge over probably any candidate, or at least 90% of the candidates that are going to be competing with you for a position. But first, I want to thank today's sponsor, Sammy. Sammy is a Labrador Bull Terrier mix. She's about 9 months old, and she really enjoys astrophysics. Before you interview, you got to do a few things. Number one, get the basics down. Tell me about yourself. Tell me about a time that you overcame a challenge, led a team, or failed at something. What are your strengths and your weaknesses? Walk me through your resume. Why are you interested in this company? Some form of these questions are going to be asked anytime you interview. 90% of the people are not going to rehearse their answers because 90% of those people did not watch this video. And unfortunately, an interview process is not like a Rick and Morty episode where improvising is going to provide the best moments of the show. Yeah! Instead, what you need to do is take all the questions that you're likely to be asked and respond to those questions, rehearse some responses for those questions using the STAR method. Now that's situation, task, action, result, but more on that later. The next thing that you should do before you interview to get an interview is you should be connecting and messaging all the recruiters at all of the companies that you'd love to work at, and you should say something like this to them. Hi, blank name. I am a insert your current job title at insert your company, but I have started to ever so passively look on the job market for a new role. I love insert their company and wanted to see if you are hiring at the moment. Also curious, how do you like working there? For an exact process of how to actually reach out to recruiters to get a response, check out this video here. The key thing to remember here though is that there is a very good chance that the next role that you get is going to materialize from somebody that is already in your network. The only things that you have to do is make sure that your LinkedIn profile and resume are up to date, and that your LinkedIn profile specifically is keyword rich for the position that you want to be working at in your next job. And the other thing is just make sure that it's very easy for them to refer you, aka everything is ready to go once the opportunity knocks. The only goal to interviewing is to get an offer. No matter what, even if you don't really like the company, you need to take the interview to the finish line. And there's two reasons for this. One is that once you receive an offer, your desirability as a candidate goes up 10x. The second thing is that you now have a number that a company is willing to offer you that other companies are gonna have to match. And bonus, getting an offer just feels good and it boosts your confidence. Ultimately, whoever you're interviewing with is going to be looking for somebody that they would want to work with. So your only job on an interview is to connect with the person that you are talking to. And there are a few mindsets that are important to have in order to have this open and collaborative connection going on during an interview. Mindset number one, it's so awesome to speak with an accomplished peer. What I mean by this is whoever you're talking to has been at that company for a while, they've been successful enough to not get fired and even to be interviewing you. So it is a very cool thing to simply talk with another human being who has accomplished something of value. Number two, how can I help? They're hiring you because there's something that they need help with as a company, as a team, whatever. Your job and mindset during the interview is to come from that place of wanting to help, of being curious about how could just me as a person with my skills come into this environment and add some value. Mindset number 3, enjoy speaking to this interviewer as an ends, not as a means. This interviewer is very likely going to have some kind of feedback on you that could impact whether or not you do or don't get a job. It's very tempting to want to manipulate the situation and think of them as just an obstacle to you getting an offer that you want. But that's going to hurt you. Instead, what you should do is think of this person just as another human being to connect with. Let go of the outcome. Interact with them unconditionally. The paradoxical effect of this is that you're going to give yourself a much higher chance of getting the offer. Number 4, I am already great at X, but there's always more to learn. Anytime you meet somebody that has confidence but understands that they are a perpetual student and there's always more to learn, that's a very attractive quality in a person. You want to be around those people because they're the type of people that will grow, and when you're around people that grow, you also grow. So in an interview, make sure that you come with that mindset of, I'm already good enough and I can always be better. And the last mindset that I'll mention is that I want to make sure that it's good for both of us. The reason this is so powerful is that it puts you in a choosing position. Most people, when they go into an interview, they just want to say whatever they can to get the job. But when you go into an interview and you say, you know, I don't really know if I want to work there. I want to find out. I'm curious and I'm eager to find out, but I'm not really sure. Then that maintains a position of power and choice with you as a person, and they'll pick up on that. They'll pick up on that confidence. Come in with the mindset of, I not only want to make sure that I'm right for you, but I want to make sure that you're right for me. Let's look at an example of how to answer interview questions with the STAR method. I'll pretend that I'm an interviewer or that I'm being interviewed by myself. Yeah. So, Tim, rubber duck guy, tell me about a time that you failed and how did you handle it? So the first thing I'll think is the situation. Okay, well, shortly after being recruited or promoted to a senior recruiter at my last company, I was tasked with finding a principal developer from some FANG company. Usually, this was a backfill, by the way. Usually, this would take about a month, but they asked me to do it in 2 weeks. Now, I was excited by my promotion, so I agreed to this hiring manager's request. I started the search pretty quickly, and I also quickly realized that it was going to take a lot more time for me to get enough principal engineers in process to actually get an offer. So what I ended up having to do is go back to this hiring manager and let him know that I would at least need 2 more weeks in order to get an offer out to a potential candidate, pushing back the timeline. Now notice that during this interview, I used a very specific example from a previous job that I had. And this should be a no-brainer, but it bears repeating. Always use specific examples from things that you've already done. If you answer questions vaguely without a concrete example, it's gonna work against you and they're gonna notice. All right, so you just nailed the interview. Look at you go. But guess what? The interview's not actually over. For all the folks that you met that day, you're gonna write a kind and concise thank you letter referencing something unique in the conversation that makes you memorable as a candidate. And then you're gonna wait 24 hours and send this letter and then follow it up with a connection request on LinkedIn. Here's an example of a great thank you letter that Hillary Clinton wrote to Barack Obama. Mr. Obama, I want to thank you for your time yesterday regarding the vacant vice presidential position. After meeting with you and your cabinet, I am confident my experience as Secretary of State and interest in a White House position makes me a great fit for the team. The projects we discussed regarding job growth and confidential Black Ops missions were truly fascinating, and I hope to join you in achieving those goals. I enjoyed hearing about the day-to-day responsibilities of the position, and I think my speaking skills and desire to be in a fast-paced atmosphere enable me to be productive from the start. If you have further questions, please let me know. Sincerely, Hill Dog. That's it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching and liking and subscribing and commenting. As always, may the interviewing odds be ever in your favor.